Welcome back. When it started in 1984, Duty Free quickly became one of the decade's most popular TV comedies, attracting audiences of over 12 million.
Well, fans of the show will be delighted to hear of its revival 30 years later. In a moment, we'll be chatting to two of the original cast members, Barron and Gwen Taylor. But first, a spot of nostalgia.
Where are you going?
Now, that's Spain down there, and I'm going to get a slice. I want to see it, touch it, taste it.
You're watching Linda, aren't you?
Yes, Sam, as a matter of fact. Alone at last, Linda.
Yes.
The sea's buoyant. You'd float. Ask Linda. She's been in the Dead Sea.
Oh, do you mean she hasn't always looked like that?
We mustn't do anything to arouse suspicion. Oh.
And Linda, if you see David, will you have a word with him? He always responds to the older woman. Oh, that's lovely. Now let me see if I've got my light right. What's that on your collar?
What's what?
It's lipstick.
Oh, lipstick. Oh, well, I'm all right then.
That's what you think.
Oh, she gave him what for, and quite rightly so.
Nothing changes, does it? Nothing changes.
Was there that moment, because when it fell in the pond,
Yeah.
was that the moment, because I know there was one specific moment underwater, and I don't know how many times you were underwater, that
Just
you
the
thought,
once.
this is working, this is fun.
I did think that.
Was that moment?
Yes. When I went to look, mind you, I'm a bit funny about water. I quite like it. But it did come to me at that point that, oh, this might be all right. So here we are, 97 years later, being brave.
What do you think it is? I mean, what do you think that worked so much about it back then, which it clearly did, that even now people are just... I
Go
can't
on,
quite
Gwen.
believe it's
You
taken
answer.
so long to come
Well,
back.
back then, it was at a time when British couples were able to afford five-star hotels in package deals on the continent in a way that they could never afford to stay in a hotel that size in England.
Yeah.
You know, and so they were out of their depth a bit, at least the men were. I think the women took it in their stride, but the
How
men...
dare you say men were out of their
I
depth?
think they were. I think they were trying to pretend this is what they did all the time.
Rubbish,
you know.
that's what they would like to do.
So you've got two couples. You've got the working class couple, you've got David and Amy, you guys, and then you've got the upper middle class, Robert and Linda.
Yes.
And then it's David and Linda who have this unlikely romance.
Attempt
at romance.
Very attempted.
Yes.
And people used to stop you in the streets. The cab drivers used to shout
they
out because
did.
it was a family show, and there would be no hint of, you know, sort of on-screen impropriety.
No, well, they just used to shout, did you get your leg over? And I would have to say, well, no, I'm sorry, love, because if I did get it over, there'd be no show.
Exactly.
Shoot.
Yes, it is.
By her.
Yeah, of
Me.
And you never actually, looking at it, and maybe sort of see the scenes there, you could believe that you might have at least got a shot of shooting in Spain, but
I
go.
didn't. No, they did. No, I was doing something called Trumpets and Raspberries in the West End with Griff Rhys-Jones. And so I went to Shepperton to shoot my bits in a hotel in Shepperton. You can't see the joins. They're so brilliant designers for television that everybody thought I had gone to Spain, so that was fine.
We went to Marbella for 4 days, and we used the hotel doors in this hotel. And if you went to put your hand on the knob, if you'll pardon the expression, they would say, "Don't open it!" And the interiors were, as Gwen says, Walton-on-Thames.
Oh, God.
And also
Yeah.
a stuffed donkey.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
of
stuffed
course.
donkey.
Oh, yeah, the donkey. Yeah.
Well, from Marbella to Windsor, which is where
Yes.
you are now.
Yes.
And this is at the Theatre Royal, and this is where it has come back to 30 years later. Where did the idea come from, and what did you think when you got the call to say, will you do it?
I think the idea came from Bill Kenwright. He came to see me in something I was touring with, and he came up to me and said, "How do you feel about doing Duty Free again?" And I thought, oh, a television series, that'd be great, you know, because I decided not to do any more touring.
And Birds of a Feather has been so successful.
Absolutely, and I thought, yes, that would be lovely. And then he said, well, it would be an 18-week tour. So I took a deep breath and thought, and as Keith said, we had to do it.
Yeah.
You just felt we had to do it. It was
I
such a
heard
great
you
thing.
screamed when it was suggested to you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I did.
screamed in a different way.
It's not the full original cast, is it? Because the original Linda, who's Joanna, couldn't do it. So Carol Royal has come in and
Who is
stepped
wonderful.
in.
Seamlessly fitted in. She's brilliant.
Was
She's
there a
really
worry when it wasn't the four of you?
Yes. definitely. I have to say, because we love Joe, and we did feel, oh my goodness, it's not the same. It's not going to be. And the same with Carlos, the waiter, who unfortunately has died since we did the series. We felt, you know, we're going to miss those actual characters, but we haven't now, have we? It's been wonderful.
We just get on with it now.
Yeah.
And when you've had your first read-through, bearing in mind that as we showed that clip, you know, so that's 1984, how did it feel to be back in those characters again?
Go on, Gwen.
Well, it was lovely. I mean, Keith came up to me and just said, I'm quite moved.
Yeah.
And we both felt quite weepy because, I don't know, it sort of just fitted again. And Eric was sitting opposite us and he got quite weepy too, didn't he? Yeah. And he said, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, you know, at the end of the read-through.
We were also grateful that we could still walk about. Some faster than others, I hasten to add.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you later.
And is your son in it?
Yes, he is. We're a bit like the Von Trapp family, really. But why not? And makes me tea and pours me a glass of wine when we're finished.
He's a great looker-after.
And there you are. It's a kind of...
And they're playing a young couple on honeymoon. Well, they're not quite so young, but they're on honeymoon. And so the contrast is they think it's wonderful that this character and the other lady are married and are happily married, and they don't realise that it's the other way round. So they're shocked.
And Jamie's girlfriend's also in it, Maxine Gregory. So it's really
a proper family.
Like
Yes,
it's
great. It's
with all the
great.
goings on.
In the sort of 30 years between then and now, had you seen much of each other?
No.
No, we
Oh,
haven't.
right. So,
No.
gosh.
We did a radio thing once, didn't we? And we've
don't
sort of kept
remember.
in touch through. And, you know, I get messages saying...
Oh, we met in a hotel in Cardiff.
we did. We were both doing
And
casual.
Gwen came towards me and I kind of went, what's that? And then it was, you know, a bit of kissing went on and
Oh,
she
yes.
went for a dinner and I
And
went
that
for
was
mine.
it.
Sounding
no
like
knowledge of what-
life imitating art here.
Isn't it weird, though?
Yeah,
It's
I
weird.
have worked with Jo
Yeah.
a couple of times. She was in shows I did, and but Neil and Keith I haven't really been in touch with, so it's fabulous.
Well,
It
let's
really
hope that
is.
if the tour works out and there is an appetite, a big appetite for it, which it sounds like there is, that maybe, as I said, Birds of a Feather was a big success.
Yeah.
You never know, you might end up back on the telly.
We might, and I would be very happy to do
Yeah.
that, wouldn't you?
In the
I'm
meantime,
very happy to do Windsor Love this afternoon.
Theatre Royal Windsor until April the 26th, and then off on a nationwide tour. All the details we'll put on our website.
Thank
And
you
we're
very
back
much.
after the news.
Thank you.
See you in a minute.